The throne room was silent when the humans returned. Elias, May, and Ruiz stood calmly in the center. Their clothes were dusty, their eyes tired, but their backs straight. They had faced the trial hall where the strongest minds of other species had broken, but the humans had walked out untouched. Zortal stared at them. He didn't speak right away. He walked slowly around them, watching their faces, their movements, their breath. "You passed," he finally said. "Even my high generals have failed that test. Yet you, humans, you walked through fear like it was nothing." Ruiz raised an eyebrow. "Maybe your fear machine needs a software update." One of the alien guards moved forward, shocked at the disrespect. Zortal raised his hand. The guard froze. "You continue to mock me," the Supreme Leader said. "Even now." Elias nodded. "Yes, because fear works on those who believe in it. We've seen war, famine, disasters, even monsters, but we kept laughing, not because we don't feel fear, but because laughter is how we fight it." Zortal didn't reply. Instead, he walked back to his throne, but he didn't sit. Instead, he turned to the crowd of alien officers standing around the room. "Leave us," he said. None of them moved. Zortal's voice became sharp. Now, in silence, the thousands of guards and leaders left. The doors sealed. Only Zortal and the three humans remained. The room felt colder, heavier. For a long time, no one said anything. Then, without his armor's command codes, Zortal removed the helmet from his head. Beneath a black mask was a face marked by age, scars, and heavy eyes. His skin was like gray stone, his eyes dimmer now. Without the armor, he looked older, tired, real. "You want to understand why I built this empire?" he asked. "Then listen." The humans remained silent. Zortal walked to the center of the room and touched a panel on the floor. A projection lit up above him an image of a burning world. Smoke, fire, falling towers, alien screams echoed through the hall. This was my homeworld. Zarnex's Prime. When I was a child, it was full of green skies, crystal rivers, music in the streets. I had a family, 2 brothers, a sister. We lived in peace. The image shifted now, showing an invasion. Ships landing, weapons firing. Then came the Uruk horde. They didn't ask for surrender, they didn't speak, they just destroyed. I watched my mother fall, my father burned, my little sister gone in seconds. The room was heavy with silence. I was taken by another empire forced to fight in their war factories. I rose through violence, not because I wanted to, but because I had to. I swore I would never be weak again. I swore I would build something no one could destroy. He looked at Elias now, face hard. "So I built an empire of fear, one where no enemy would dare to rise. And it worked. For centuries. Until today." May's voice was soft. "You've been running from that moment your whole life." Zortal nodded slowly. "Yes. And all this time I thought power meant silence, obedience, fear. But you three, you faced fear and laughed." Ruiz stepped forward. "Because when we laugh, we take back control. That's something no empire can ever fully crush." Zortal sat on the edge of the throne, not like a ruler, but like a tired soldier. "I've shown fear to countless worlds. They all broke. But you, you confuse me. You frighten me in a way no weapon can." May smiled gently. "Then maybe it's time for a different kind of empire." He didn't answer. But his eyes, those old fire-burnt eyes, began to soften. Far above, inside the observation chambers, other alien leaders watched in secret. Hidden cameras showed them everything. The humans were not bowing. The Supreme Leader was not shouting. Instead, he was listening, and that scared them more than any war. Because if Zortal changed, the entire empire might follow. Zortal remained quiet. He had ruled for over 400 years. His commands had shaped the fates of galaxies. His name alone had made kings surrender and soldiers abandon hope. But now, sitting on the edge of his throne, surrounded by 3 small unarmed humans, he felt something he had not felt in a long time. Doubt. He looked at Elias, May, and Ruiz. "Speak of laughter, of resistance to fear. But what happens when laughter fades? When the enemy is too powerful? When the sky burns and the ground breaks?" Elias didn't hesitate. "We rebuild. We try again. We survive." May stepped closer. "You believe fear builds control. But control isn't strength. It's just a cage. You've built the biggest cage in the universe and locked yourself inside it." Zortal's fingers twitched. The words struck deep. He stood and walked slowly to a nearby wall. With a wave of his hand, it opened like flowing metal, revealing a narrow path behind it. "Come with me," he said. The humans followed without a word. The hallway beyond was dim, lined with glowing symbols and old war banners. Some of the banners were torn, others had been scorched by plasma fire. Zortal said nothing about them. At the end of the hall they reached a chamber unlike any they had seen. It wasn't sharp or cold like the rest of the ship. It was peaceful. A garden, soft blue grass grew under strange golden trees. At the center was a round pool, glowing softly. Zortal walked to it and stared at the water. "This is the memory well," he said. "Only I have access. It records my life, my victories, my failures." The pool shimmered. Images danced across its surface: wars, battles, explosions. But also moments of silence, a baby's cry, a young Zortal running through a field, a mother's smile. May stepped closer. "You kept all this hidden. No one was allowed to see," he said. "Not even my generals. They believe I was born a warrior. They must never know I was once like you." Elias folded his arms. "So why are you showing us?" "Because for the first time in centuries," Zortal said slowly, "I wonder if I have been wrong." Suddenly, the chamber shook. A loud siren echoed through the walls. Red lights blinked. Zortal turned sharply. "They've found us." "Who?" Elias asked. Zortal's eyes darkened. "The Council of Chains." "The what?" "They are not part of my command. They are the ones behind the throne. The old ones who believe fear must never be questioned. They monitor." The red alarm lights pulsed like a heartbeat. Zortal's face hardened as the siren howled through the hidden chamber. He looked at Elias, May, and Ruiz, but this time not as enemies or strange curiosities. He looked at them like comrades. In a moment too important to ignore. "They're coming," he said. "The Council of Chains. They do not care about mercy or memory or change. To them, I was always just a masker tool." Ruiz looked around. "If they control your empire, then what have you really ruled?" Zortal didn't answer. Another tremor shook the garden chamber. Dust fell from the ceiling. The memory wells, glowing water rippled, distorting the peaceful images inside. A mechanical voice echoed from hidden speakers. "Unauthorized access to the forbidden memory core. Termination force en route. Level 5 execution protocols in motion." May stepped forward. "We have to get out of here fast." Zortal shook his head. "There is nowhere left to run. This chamber is buried deep beneath the throne. The only way out now is through." "The truth." "What do you mean?" Elias asked. Zortal turned to the center of the room and raised both hands. A massive control node emerged from the floor. He touched it with his palm. Lights surged. Dozens of ancient files, open broadcasts, personal journals, all filled with images and sound from Zorto's past. "Help me," Zorto said. "If I send this data across the Empire, it will expose everything. The truth about the Council. The truth about my fear, and it will destroy the image they built around me." Ruiz raised a brow. "You want us to help destroy your legacy?" Zorto looked down. "No, I want to destroy the lie." May stepped beside him. "Then let's show the galaxy the man behind the mask." Elias moved quickly, connecting his datapad into the node. "We'll need to break through their firewalls. This thing is locked tighter than a Terran vault." Zortal raised his hands again. "Let me help." His mind connected with the system. His armor's neural code still held override access. Sparks flew, the lights flickered. Somewhere deep above them, shouts echoed and explosions rocked the corridors. "They're breaching the lower decks," Ruiz shouted. "They'll be here in minutes." Elias typed faster. "Almost there." Suddenly, a new voice echoed into the chamber, cold and sharp, like knives slicing through metal. "Zortal, you were warned." A hologram appeared. 6 cloaked figures, their faces hidden behind black iron masks. Their voices merged into one. "You let the humans speak. You let them infect you with weakness. You betrayed the silence." Zortal stepped forward. "No, I remembered who I was before the silence." "Then you will die forgotten." May glared at the projection. "We'll see about that." Elias hit the final command key. The entire garden shook violently as data flooded through ancient systems, broadcast across the Empire. Images of Zortal's childhood, the invasion, of his world, his years in the war factories, his doubts, his pain, his hidden memories. All of it now flowing like light through the stars. Billions across the Empire, soldiers, slaves, citizens, saw the real Zortal for the first time, and then the door exploded. Steel flew inward. Dark armored warriors stormed the chamber, silent, fast, deadly. The Council's execution unit. Ruiz grabbed a shock rifle from the wall. "Time to stop talking." Zortal stepped in front of the humans. "No, this is my fight." He walked toward the soldiers, no armor, no mask. They hesitated. For the first time, they saw their god king without the armor of fear. Just a warrior. Just a man. Stand down, Zortal commanded. They looked at each other, then, one by one, they dropped their weapons. Behind them, alarms continued to blare, but something had shifted. The image of power had cracked. The truth was beginning to spread, and the humans, they stood in the middle of a legend, breaking apart not with blood and fire but with memory, courage, and laughter. The throne world didn't feel the same anymore. Something invisible had cracked, like a silent wall falling across 1,000 star systems. Zortal's truth had spread faster than any fleet. Holograms of his memories were being watched on battleships, mining colonies, prison worlds. The galaxy had seen his past, and for the first time in living memory, they were not afraid of him. Inside the main chamber, Zortal stood without his armor. Beside him, Elias, May, and Ruiz looked up at the massive holographic screens showing reactions from across the Empire. Some alien leaders were shouting, angry, others were silent, and many were crying. The truth had done something no weapon ever could. It had awakened the people. Elias broke the silence. So what happens now? Zortal stared at the blinking lights. Now, the Empire falls, or it changes. Behind them, the Council's soldiers were gone. They had dropped their weapons, walked away, or simply sat down and waited. None had spoken a word. The power they followed had vanished. Rui smirked. So the big bad ruler of the galaxy asks the humans what to do next. Zortal chuckled just a little. I built my empire on silence. You humans broke that with noise, with questions, with laughter. May stepped forward. Then let's ask the biggest question of all. Do your people still need an empire? Zortal didn't answer right away. He walked to the throne, the seat of absolute control. For centuries, it had commanded armies and crushed planets. But now, it looked like an empty chair. He raised his hand above it. The humans stepped back. With a soft hum, the throne collapsed. It folded into itself, becoming nothing more than dust and broken steel. Zortal turned to the humans. No more throne, no more supreme ruler. Rui stared. What now? Zortal looked to the stars. Now, I give them a voice. He opened the main channel across the Empire. Billions of devices lit up with his message. This is Zortal. I am no longer your ruler. I am just one voice among many. For too long, I used fear to hold power. I forgot what courage really meant. But 3 small creatures from a distant world reminded me. So I offered this choice. Not as a king, but as a man. Will we keep ruling through fear, or will we finally rise through truth? Silence followed. And then, answers came pouring in. Not from generals, not from politicians, from workers, from prisoners, from farmers and pilots and orphans, aliens of every kind. All sending one simple message. We choose truth. May smiled. Elias looked stunned. Ruiz actually laughed. It was over. The Council of Chains disappeared after that. Some were arrested by their own guards. Others vanished into the deep void, hunted by those they once ruled. As for Zortal, he didn't stay on the throne world. He asked for no title, no planet, no crown. He simply left with a small ship and an even smaller crew. 3 humans, together. They traveled through the galaxy not as conquerors, but as something much more dangerous. Messengers of change. And everywhere they went, they reminded the stars of one powerful truth. Fear only wins. If you forget how to laugh. The sky over Earth changed without warning. At first it was just a shadow, like a storm rolling in, but soon, people looked up and saw something that had no name. A shape so massive it blocked the sun. It was not a ship, they called it a city in space. Some said it looked like a mountain made of steel, floating above the clouds. Others said it looked like death itself had arrived. Alarms rang all over the world. Every country went silent. All satellite signals were lost within seconds. Communication, towers crashed. Earth's leaders were confused, scared, and completely helpless. The unknown object did not speak. It simply hovered above the planet. Watching. Then came the message. It was not in any known language. But somehow, every screen on Earth showed the same thing, an alien face, cold and dark eyes like burning stars. Its voice was deep and slow, like the ground itself was speaking. I am Zortal, supreme leader of the Iron Empire. I have conquered 12 galaxies. Your world is mine now, Neil. Prepare for contact. The message played again and again. No one could turn it off. No one could escape it. People cried. Some prayed. Some ran for shelter. But it was useless. Earth had never seen anything like this before. But not everyone was afraid. Far from the panic, deep inside an underground base in the Colorado Mountains, a small team sat around a table. They were not soldiers, not politicians, not even scientists. They were a group of humans trained for one thing: first contact with alien life. Most people thought these humans were just part of a quiet government project, created after the Mars signal 20 years ago, a signal that came from far beyond Pluto and disappeared just as quickly. These people had studied alien cultures, history, and communication. But more than anything, they were taught to be calm, brave, and smart in the unknown. Their leader was a man named Commander Elias Ward. He was in his mid-40s, calm-eyed, sharp-minded, with a small scar above his eyebrow that made him look more serious than he really was. Next to him sat May, a translator and cultural expert. She was quick, clever, and often the one who broke the silence with a joke no one expected. "Guess we finally got their attention," she said, watching the dark ship on the screen. Elias didn't smile. "They didn't come to shake hands." "No," replied Captain Ruiz, the only military person in the room. "They came to end us." But Elias stood up and faced his team. "Or maybe they came to test us. The message says, prepare for contact, not surrender, not destruction. Contact with a death machine," someone said. "Still," Elias said, "we respond. That's our job." Hours later, Earth's united governments agreed to send Elias and his team to the alien ship. It was a crazy plan, but no one had a better one. The world's armies couldn't touch the ship. Missiles had no effect. They had tried. Nothing worked. So maybe, just maybe, words could. The humans were taken to a hidden launch site, and within minutes, they were inside a special shuttle one the aliens had sent down. It was made of smooth black metal, with no visible buttons, engines, or controls. It moved on its own, silent and cold. Inside, Elias kept his team calm. May whispered, "I wonder what he looks like in person." "Zortal, probably big," Ruiz muttered. That the shuttle entered the alien mothership like a drop of water entering an ocean. The inside of the ship was darker than space itself. Lights moved on their own. The air felt thick, like it was filled with unseen voices. They walked through a hallway made of black glass. No doors, no windows, just silence and footsteps. Then they reached it. A massive gate opened by itself. What they saw beyond it stole their breath. A throne room larger than any stadium on Earth. Thousands of alien guards stood on both sides, silent, still, armored in deep red. And at the very end of the room, on a raised platform, sat a tall figure in sharp, dark armor, glowing with strange red veins of energy. Zor. Single quotes told. He didn't speak. He didn't move. He only watched. The humans stepped forward. Elias walked slowly, his heart beating louder than the silence. May followed, her eyes scanning every inch of the alien design. Ruiz kept a hand close to his belt, ready for anything. And then, the ruler finally spoke. "Welcome, creatures of Earth. You stand in the presence of your future." But before Elias could answer, May whispered just loud enough for everyone to hear. "Future looks grumpy." One of the alien guards twitched. Ruiz blinked in shock. Elias barely hid his smirk. And that was the moment it began, not a war of guns, but of something far stranger. The war of fear versus human humor. The silence in the throne room was like ice. Thousands of alien soldiers stood perfectly still, their eyes fixed on the humans who had just dared to joke in front of their supreme leader. The air felt heavy. Even the lights on the walls flickered, reacting to some unseen tension. Zortail didn't speak. He didn't blink. His burning red eyes focused on May, the woman who had whispered that sarcastic remark. For a second, Elias thought she had gone too far, that maybe this was the end. One word from Zortal and the humans could be turned to ash. But something strange happened. Zortal leaned forward on his black steel throne, his sharp fingers tapping the edge of the armrest. His face, pale gray and marked with old war scars, stayed unreadable. "You laugh?" he asked, his voice slow and deep. "In my presence?" Elias stepped forward carefully. "Humans laugh in the face of many things. Supreme Leader, even fear." "You misunderstand fear," Zortal said. "Fear is the only thing that keeps order. It built my empire. It holds power in place. Without fear, everything falls apart." Ruiz tensed at Ilias's side, but May tilted her head slightly and said, "If fear is all you have, that empire must be very weak." Every alien warrior twitched. Some even reached for their weapons. Zortal raised a single hand, and they froze again. Not a word, not a step. He looked down at the humans. Not with anger, but with curiosity. "No species has ever spoken to me this way," he said. The Grilliner trembled. The Vokrians cried. The Jotun begged for their lives. "You speak like you don't understand who I am," Elias nodded. "Oh, we understand perfectly. You've ruled many worlds, you've crushed armies, you're feared, but we've learned something on Earth. Fear can break the body, but not the mind. not the spirit. Zortal stood. He was tall, too tall for any human, over 9 feet, his armor humming with strange energy. He walked down the steps of his throne, each footstep echoing like thunder in a canyon. The humans didn't move. Then, "I will test this spirit," he said. "You will enter the trial hall. There, I will show you what fear really means." Before Elias could answer, a bright red light surrounded the group. The floor beneath them shifted. The ground moved like liquid metal. In seconds, the humans were gone from the throne room. They appeared inside a new plateau, black, with black walls that shimmered like glass. There were no guards here, no sound, just a large room with a single door on the far side. "What now?" Ruiz asked. Elias didn't answer right away. He looked around, sensing that the real test hadn't begun yet. Then, a voice spoke from nowhere. "This room reads your memories," said Zortal's voice, echoing from the walls. "It will show you your worst fears. If you survive them, we will speak again." The lights went out. For a moment, everything was pitch black. Then it began. May was the first. A holographic image of her younger brother appeared before her. He was drowning, screaming, just like he had years ago in a flood back home. She couldn't move. She couldn't save him. The pain hit her chest like fire. Ruiz saw himself trapped in a dark bunker, the sound of alien weapons outside. All his team members were dead. Their voices echoed in his mind, blaming him. Elias saw something deeper, Earth itself, shattered, burning skies, smoke rising from what used to be cities, billions gone. A voice kept repeating, "You failed them." The room attacked their minds. It didn't show monsters. It showed memories, guilt, regret, fear. But humans were strange. Very strange. They didn't scream. May stepped toward the image of her drowning. Brother And walked right through it. "Not this time," she whispered. "Not again." Ruiz slammed his fists into the ground, shouting, "That wasn't real. I'm still here. I survived." Elias stared at the broken earth before him, breathing heavily. Then he laughed just once, a short chuckle. "If I failed," he said, "then I'll just try again. That's what humans do." Suddenly, the darkness faded. The room became solid again. The walls turned bright gray. The door at the far end opened. The humans had passed. Back in the throne room, Zortal watched the screen showing the trial results. For the first time in years, he felt something new. Not fear, not anger, not confusion. How could these creatures laugh in the face of fear? How could they resist the trial room? He leaned back on his throne. Perhaps, he said to himself, fear is not the only power in the universe.